Um, Small word rant. Um, since I've been browsing Tumblr and I always see these posts, I also identify with where you basically say, no matter how strong you think your bond with another person or individual is, you always have this nagging fear and anxiety that you are disposable, that you're part of a joke, that basically they don't really care about you, and you're pretty much just the annoying bystander while like the outside of the group. I can personally attest that I often felt this way even though I now have great friends now. And I can't help to think that, I mean, I felt this way even though I've really been blessed by life in comparison to other people. I mean, I have two loving parents. We are not poor in the sense that we have to worry about something to eat. Um, I actually doing a job that pays kind of well. I mean, it pays well in comparison to other jobs, but compared to what we actually do, it's kind of lowly paid because I'm being a nurse, and for the stuff you have to put up with, it's kind of not enough. But that aside, I do have a job, and I am getting paid, and I am going to have a possibility of education because the only reason I'm not in university right now is basically since I'm not getting a place into university to study medicine, which I want to do. But I did get education. I went to school. I was able to buy books to actually learn stuff, which is something not many people have. And I was blessed enough to actually meet my internet friends I've made over the past years. Um, I mean, I'm blessed to actually go out there and into other countries and meet them, and them meeting me. And we truly have a great friendship. They've become like my second family. And this is why it's so scary to me that such a strong bond can be overshadowed by this nagging anxiety that you've been burdened with when you were a child. Because the only factor I see that probably everyone that reposts these posts and feels that anxiety is that they had a really pretty shitty childhood because of other kids. Not because it necessarily because of the parents, but I feel like there has to be some kind of abuse behind um, every story, so somebody would actually start feeling this. I mean, putting aside completely mental illnesses like, for example, depression or anxiety, which absolutely do not help the situation and this feeling, but I mean, basically, we've grown up, and while we've grown up in this vulnerable phase, we have these. I don't know if I'm just pitying them or if I don't know how to feel about. I mean, I can say it now, but basically, they were my abusers because they've made my school life hell, and I've been still blessed enough that it didn't actually turn into physical violation and violence like other kids have, which makes it even worse. But it just shows how cruel and how actually the impact this kind of behavior has on an individual. I mean, as I said, I've been blessed in my life that I'm actually don't have so many troubles. I mean, I don't come from a wealthy family. My parents were poor when they got me, and we were lower class. And basically, my parents worked really hard for me to have. the necessities to get education. And as time went on, they always saved some money at the side, so we got always got a better place to stay. With each time, basically, we worked our way up the social ladder, and um, so it's not like I don't not know, but I can understand where other people come from. But still, as I said, my current situation is really um, more than okay. And just to think that even though I'm in this condition, I was fucked up by how people treated me, to be blunt, because people didn't, they started picking on me because I was a happy child, and I also was brought up very religiously by my parents slash by my other relatives who lived in Brazil. And basically, my grandma always got me these like Jesus loves you kind of shirts and stuff, and I wasn't unashamed to wear them. And basically, this was a big no-go with most of the guys of my class, and it was always picked upon. It didn't help that I was a bit of chubby and still am, and developed certain parts early. So there was this pink shirt I wore that my mom made me. It was like a pullover jumper, and they called me Miss Payay, which really was nice. As you can see, it still has an effect. And I think the quintessence I'm trying to get at is that you learn that you don't have the same value as other people. If you've been abused, no matter if it just was verbally or emotionally or physically, and all kinds of abuse, basically you learn you're not as valuable. And it's really hard because you always think like, because you've always been the butt of the joke, is this just some huge elaborate joke? I mean, even if your friends just that you can be annoying, it's still, I don't think they really realize the impact these kind of words have with your background. And certain things still have a really great impact on you, depending on how long and how much it hurt you, even though you tried not to be hurt with. Whoever said like, sticks and stone may break my bone, but words will never hurt me, was a complete idiot, and obviously never really had to put up with that kind of stuff. I mean, additionally, it didn't help that in 8th grade or year 8, depending on where you are, um, I was completely ignored. I mean, ignored in the sense that, seriously, teachers ignored me because they knew I knew the material in school. So when I raised my hand, basically we're like, you don't even need to raise your hand. I know you know the answer. Um, so I had nothing really to do at school, and the classmates completely ignored my existence. So yes, we learned that we're not as valuable and disposable. Um, to actually stop this kind of feeling of self worth you have. Like, even though you think, oh my god, I actually worth something, you still don't think it is unconditional. That people are able to actually feel your worth and not be, and that this worth is not in association with any kind of condition, like you being the smartest, or you always doing something for the group, or you being the kind one, you being the great talker, or the one who always has the ideas, who always brings the food or something. it kind of really is unimaginable for us who were victims of abuse, or rather survivors of abuse, to actually stop that kind of thinking. Like, the second I don't do this anymore, will you still value me? Because like I've learned that people, human beings, value each other only with conditions. And even though you actually have experienced love by other human beings, like your parents, or in cases, other cases maybe relatives or friends, it's really hard to actually see no strings attached, because you always hear maybe one comment or the other that people were raised with, that we don't even realize the connotations. And if you're like actually been enlightened in these matters like sexism and how and body autonomy and racism and stuff, and LGBT homophobia and biphobia and erasure, how you actually hear some comments and you're just like, well, nice, you think so little of people like me. And you really come to question if that love you experienced in the past is really unconditional, even though it probably is. So you always have to struggle with it. And I guess this whole thing is just a rant to get some stuff out and to let people know they are not alone, and it is not their fault for thinking this way. It's not your fault. The thing is, it's probably fault of those assholes who abuse you. Um, Probably many of them don't even know what we were doing, and that it's okay to feel this way, but it's also it is necessary to keep fighting against it, because you will always have these lows, like the phases where you totally buy into the lies and the poison people have been injecting you when you were still a child, that you think you're not worth it. And it will of course color many of your thoughts, but it will get less intense with the years. For example, I'm 21 years old. It's still hard for me to talk about it, but every time I talk about it and every time I make myself clear that it is not my fault, it gets less worse, my burden gets lighter. So I know that at the end of the tunnel, if you may say so, like in 10 years, it will be even easier for me to look back onto this. I just have to keep working to overcoming the pain and the consequences of bullying and stuff that has been done to me, that I only now realize was conditioned to make me feel less than human, that it was bullying, that it was something serious. That back then I always thought like, because of my blessed circumstances, you couldn't call that abuse or bullying, and yet it was. So no matter your circumstances, don't let people tell you don't have the right to feel you're worth it, and don't let people tell you your suffering is nothing, because it is. And I just hope that you all get to a better place. Please do not give up. It gets better with time. It is not a lot. It may not seem so at times, but you once you get to a better place, you'll see that, and once you're able to talk about it, you'll see it won't be as painful as it was in the beginning. So yeah, that was actually what my word rant was about. So I just said